I have the privilege of being married to a person who lives in circles that are higher than my own. I'm pretty close to the ground, and my partner, Dr. Barbara Patterson, is the Dean of Nursing. And through our marriage, she has gone from various position to various position. And I've had the pleasure of accompanying her, and in that, being exposed to many, many people in many, many places, from whom I have learned much. And one of those persons is Tom Dickinson, and some of you may know that name. He is the Dean of Science here at Thompson Rivers University. And if you know Tom at all, you know one thing. He's a bird brain. He just loves birds, and so does his partner, Nancy Flood. You're laughing. I hope you're not laughing at me. Oh, now you are. But what Tom has given me is the gift of looking again at what I took for granted. That is to say, the birds that are in our neighborhood and all around us in the world. And this is considered to be children's time. There's one wee little child back there. She's looking at me and maybe trying to puzzle out what I'm saying. Her brain isn't quite ready yet to grasp these kinds of thoughts. But one of the things that Tom has taught me is about a bird called the Behemian Waxwing. Do you know that? What strikes you as being special about that? Can you think of anything? Large groups. What I have been noticing, and they were earlier in the year in a special way in our neighborhood, at times I would see 300 over there. I didn't count them, but I'd see about 300 over there. I'd see about 200 over there, and they would be in a tree. They would be making their distinctive little sounds, and then all of a sudden they'd rush into the air. And they go like popcorn in a popcorn maker. And then they fly and they dip as this black cloud. And then they come close together and then they spread out. And one day I saw about 300 over there and a bunch over there, and they all came together. There must have been 1,000 or more. And they came to one of our neighbor's trees. It's a huge, great tree. I don't know what kind it is yet. But they sat there, and I wondered, how is it that so many birds can fly together without knocking into each other? You can imagine yourself in traffic sometime in a modern city, all the cars, and how often we bang into each other with our bumpers and stuff, how often we get frustrated and annoyed. So I said to Tom Dickinson, how did they do that? And Tom Dickinson loves nothing better than a question about birds or such. And he said, well, the theory was at first that they had kind of a group mind, a group consciousness, that there was, if I can use this word, one spirit controlling them all. But being a scientist, and as scientists are wont to be, there was a great curiosity. Is that actually what's happening? And science has revealed that it is not a group mind, common consciousness. What it is that each bird is paying very careful to what his neighbor or her neighbor is doing. So the bird here and the bird here is what I'm thinking about. And I keep remember that Canadian group, they flew in jet planes really, really fast and did all kinds of remarkable things like that. But each one watches each other one. And I thought, what a lesson for us. Sometimes we think that there's a great God in the sky controlling all of us. But maybe it's just that God has given an attentive capacity. We have the ability to pay attention. And if we pay attention to where we are in relationship with our friends and neighbors, we can avoid those conflicts. I don't think Behemian Waxwings would be as interesting if they kept bumping into each other and falling out of the sky. They would, yes. Especially if you were the neighborhood cats. And I guess the neighborhood cats, you know Tommy Douglas at all? Tommy Douglas told a lovely story about cats and mice. I'm not going to tell you that story, but you can look it up someday. But cats are predators, and birds are falling out of the sky because they weren't paying attention to each other. They'd be easy pickings. Now I want to say one more thing about the Behemian Waxwings. I almost didn't get to church this morning. They often sit in our trees, and I like to listen to them. But this morning, we have a water feature with koi in the backyard, and they were down there bathing. And they are beautiful. And I love watching them bathing and splashing water around and seeing their bright colors. And I said to Barbara, let's stay here and watch the birds. But I'm glad I did come because it gave me a chance to tell you a story. And what I'd like to leave you with, because you're not children anymore, but each of you has relationships with children. Do your best to call children's attention to the world around them. The predators of our world are doing everything in their power to capture the imaginations of our children. They want to turn our children into something that is useful to them. But we want our children to be free to appreciate the beauty, the wonder, and the awe of what God has given us in creation. So take time to tell them stories, sing songs, be with them, play with them, and if you can take them out for walks, do so. And I've often, when I say such things, heard from people, but gee, I just don't know how to tell a story. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to know how. All you have to do is try, and with practice you'll get better at it. But the key thing is not how smart you are. The key thing is not how clever you are. The key thing is not how well you tell the story. The key thing is the love you have in your heart for the child. Because the story, the words, are just like little tiny buckets. And they carry the love from your heart to the ears of the child and through the ears into the being of the child, and the child is encouraged, both by the story and by your love. At the earliest age, it's just the love. But later on, the story starts to teach them about their place in God's creation. Remember what it says in our creed? To live